What's up, rogues? It's Friday, so that means it's time for another episode of Stealing the Spotlight with yours truly, the Rogue Lady. Let's get into today's video. So, in today's video, I want to talk about tips and tricks for new GMs. Full disclosure, I myself am kind of a new GM. I've been GMing a single campaign for a little over a year now. We've been every single Tuesday, minus a few from people being sick and stuff. But yeah, almost every single week on Tuesday, we've been playing for over a year. And in that amount of time, I've learned so much. I have become totally and utterly obsessed with D&D. And yeah, it's been a madhouse of fun and crazy adventures. So as a newer GM myself, I want to share some of my thoughts with other new GMs that might be a little scared or intimidated by the game. And if you're a veteran, hang around because you might find something useful here too. Okay, tip number 1 for new GMs is find a party that you can trust. I know that may be easier for some than for others, but it was super essential for me because my party is a mixture of new and experienced players, and they're all people that I know and can trust. And that way, I can know that they're not going to try and screw up my game, and that they're going to be patient with me, and that they're going to help me. And that's what you want too. You want to have players that understand that you're new, and that want to enjoy a game with you even though you're new, and give you that patience and that opportunity to GM. Because honestly, there are a lot of players out there looking for a GM, and there are people that are desperate for anyone to do the GMing for them. So even if you are new, it won't be too hard for you to find some players that are like, oh yes, please, just do the game for us. Just do the thing. So yeah, if you can compile like 2, 3, 4 players that are people that you know, or that people that are like aware that you're new and are gonna be patient and supportive and aren't gonna try and go crazy and just want to have a fun game with you, that's gonna be super key for surviving the early days of being a GM. On that note, find yourself a GM on the inside. One of your players who's probably GM before, or who is a really experienced player who can help you remember rules and remember the stuff. Because when you're getting in there and you're in the thick of it, there's so much that you have to think of and so much going on that it's great to have a player on the inside who like understands your role, understands what you're going through, and you can call upon them for backup if you need to. Of course, you don't want them to just take over without your consent or whatever, but like having someone you can be like, hey, how did this work again? Or like, while I'm doing this thing, can you like check these rules for me and like do a little research for me? Just to have someone on the inside that can help you run the game is really going to be awesome and super helpful. In my case, my partner, who is also playing with me, is an experienced GM, and she's played in many different games before. So for the first like 2 months of us playing, like, she was helping me so much, fam. Now she doesn't have to as much anymore. I mean, obviously a little over a year, like, I don't even need to call on her, but at the beginning, that was like essential for me making it through those first few weeks. The third thing on my list is player handouts. If you can find these resources, they're going to be key. There are various places on the internet that have like lists of like actions or how combat works, or just like really small, like organized lists that are for your players to help them keep track of what they can and can't do. And it turns out, as a new GM, if you give those to your players, they're going to know a little more about what to do, but you get one for yourself too.
Hello, I'm the GM Philosopher. I wanted to take a quick break from today's program to just thank you so much for watching the channel. As the founder of the channel, I am eternally grateful and appreciative of everyone who clicks on the videos, watches them, and enjoys our favorite hobby together with us. With that being said, I do have something I want to give you. This is an ebook I created called The Ultimate Plot Randomizer. It allows you to roll random plot arcs on the fly using 4 awesome D100 tables. Roll on the hook table, the complication table, the climax table, and even on the wild and wacky table to come up with plot arcs that your characters would never see coming. If your player characters are anything like mine, sometimes they do wild and unexpected stuff that leaves you wondering, what the heck am I going to do about this? And this ebook was designed to handle specifically those types of situations. You can grab it by clicking on the link in the description, sign up for my email list, and within about 15 minutes you'll get that first email which will contain a download link to your free ebook. Plus, this will sign you up for the GM Philosophy mailing list to keep you updated about news, special events, and other awesome stuff that we send out in our email list on a weekly basis. Grab that, print it out, throw it in your toolkit, boom, you'll never go without another plot arc ever again. Alright, now let's get back to the video.
Those little simplified player handouts are super useful. You just grab one of those, print it out, and stick it on the back of your GM screen, and there you go. Now you have a bunch of stuff right there for you. If you get a super complicated GM screen, which I made the mistake of doing, there was just too much information for me at the beginning, all spread out along my screen, and it took me forever to find what I needed. So if you can get some more organized notes for yourself to put on behind each of those panels, that's going to be super good for you, because it's going to help you like have exactly what you need. So one of the things I did was color code my DM screen. So on the back of each panel, I have a little sticky note of a different color, and those colors are associated with what I need from those lists. So there's a combat one, there's an actions one, there's a resources one, there's an NPCs one, and I also have one for shops. So like, if you can do that and have your panels organized for yourself, it's going to be super good and very, very helpful for keeping your game moving and keeping that pace up. The fourth thing on my list is don't be afraid to railroad your players at the beginning, because if you have these players that I've talked about, they understand that you're new, and they understand that you're going to need them to like, you know, stay on some rails so it doesn't get too crazy for you. They'll be okay with it. And if you want to get creative, come up with a reason for them to be limited. At the beginning of my campaign, I went for the old standard stick 'em all in jail thing. They were all level 1, they didn't have any starting gear, no starting money, and they were all stuck in an anti-magic prison. Because I didn't know what I was doing. And the best thing I could do was limit them severely, so that these 4 people with different backgrounds are stuck in the same place and are forced to work together. So we don't have to like find a way to roleplay why they're working together, because especially since one of my players is playing someone who is like an ex-member of the enemy faction, so having them all together in prison was a great way to limit what they could do, make them work together, and I gave them lots of puzzles and fun NPCs, and the whole prison break thing ended up being an amazing arc, to the point that I'm actually going to write a solo adventure about that prison escape. So be on the lookout for that, because I'll probably talk about it more in the future. But yeah, if you're not afraid to stick them in something simple like that, that'll help limit what they can do in a way that isn't like detrimental to their fun, because you still want them to have a lot of fun, right? But it will keep you from getting too overwhelmed. So start simple. The sixth one is just watch a couple of episodes of an actual play or two before you get started. It doesn't have to like be Critical Role, though Critical Role is amazing and is coincidentally how I got inspired to GM. But if you just find a few actual plays out there, watch like 2 or 3 episodes, that's going to give you a really good idea of how the pillars of D&D work, how the combat, exploration, and roleplay type of things work. And if you just hear an experienced GM and how they handle like interacting with their players, what kind of roles they call for, and so on and so forth, that's going to give you at least a good idea of how to do it yourself. Obviously, you don't have to try and be a Matt Mercer. Like, you can just be yourself. You don't have to do all the crazy voices if you don't want. But just getting a good feel for how it's supposed to work is going to really help you a lot, I think. And honestly, lastly, the most important one in my opinion is just start. Just start. Because I know the game can be super overwhelming, and if you want to try and like get the GMG, this giant book, and you want to try and memorize everything in there first, you're just going to overwhelm yourself and you're never going to get started, because you're always going to find another reason not to. You want to try and build this gigantic world. So just use your players' backstories to gather enough basic information to start your campaign in like a small town or a prison or something like that. Just get it going, and then as you go, collect more information from your players, like work on getting the training wheels off and getting your feet under you, and then slowly build the world as you explore. It's kind of like Fog of War in a video game, right? The whole map is blanked out, you don't see where you're going, but as you move through those areas, you start to open up the map and you learn more about the game. You do the same thing, that same like philosophy with playing. You get the core rules down, get the basic idea of what your world's going to be like and what kind of story you want, and just start playing. And then your players and their backstories and the role play that will just happen naturally will expand your story for you and help to create your world for you. So don't let all the crazy like colossal task that GMing can appear to be stop you from playing, because if you don't ever start, you're never gonna, right? So the best thing to do is just get started. Get that small group of players together that you can trust, throw some prints on the back of your GM screen, and just go. So if you like the video and you want to see some more, you know what to do. Hit those buttons, comment, etc, etc. I read all the comments and reply to everyone that I can. And if you enjoy my stuff and you want to hear more, or you want to have like a conversation with me directly, you can jump into our Discord. We have games going in there all the time. We have conversations going. I'm in there trying to be active as I can. I'm also going to be running a few one-shots soon, so if you want a chance to get in on a game that I'm DMing, please hop into the Discord, because there's your chance to do that. Anyway, that's it for me today. I will see you all next Friday. Take care, rogues.